54 international caps. British League Division 2 champion in 1971. British champion in 1975. British League Riders champion in 1979, and the second City Trophy, the jewel in the crown by the way, in 1971, 1978 and 1979. World Team Cup winner in 1972, 1974 and 1975. The World Pairs champion along with side Malcolm Simmons in 1976. Third in the World Championship in 1975. These are just some of the highlights of the career of one John Tiger Louis. We're here at the Speedway Tavern. We're saddened to hear of the loss of one of the greats. Rest in peace, John.
Wow, that's some...
That is one hell of a trophy collection, isn't it? Yeah. I don't suppose you ever got to see him ride, did you?
I sadly never saw John Louis race, but late start comparatively. I think he was 28
Something
when he started,
that, yeah.
but he did not pack a lot into a career considering he started late.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about this the other day because ironically, on the day before the news passed, me and my dad were actually watching the Wembley World Finals DVD, and he features quite prominently on there because, of course, he rode in the 72 final and finished 5th, which was his first final. So that was a good achievement for him. Never quite managed to get the big prize, of course. Was third in 75 at Wembley.
That's right.
Of course, beat Ivan Major in a run-off, which was, Ivan was probably around about his peak at that stage.
Absolutely.
But again, carried on relatively late as well. I think was still racing. I think in the mid-80s and still racing to a pretty good level as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And one of those rare breeds as well of rider who their son becomes a rider, and of course Chris himself became an exceptional rider. Well, Chris of course became a world champ, a world all-base under 21 level, won the world under 21 championship, and of course 18 years after his father was third in the world final, Chris did it in '93 in Pocking, and very sad news, and as I say, probably underrated by a lot of people, maybe who never saw him race. I mean, obviously you would have seen.
I have seen him race, and
John Louis ride. So.
Yeah, I mean he won the second City Trophy, which was the Birmingham Speedway individual meeting every year. He won it 3 times.
Yeah.
He was really good round our track, and his name. I mean, you hear lots of different sort of animal names, if I can put it that way, for people, but his name, John Tiger, he was a tiger. Never gave up. So yeah,
and of course people remember, don't forget as well, he was the national manager for a period of time.
Yes,
94 to 98.
Yeah, and fairly successful. It's. So yeah, I mean, we would love to hear anybody out there got any particular memories of seeing John ride, and we'll carry those through the show as we go on.
Of course, raced with quite a few clubs as well. I mean, he's synonymous with Ipswich because, of course, that was his hometown. But of course, he had spells at Newport, West Ham, Oxford, Wembley Lions. I didn't realise he rode at Wembley, and then when they revived in the 70s. Halifax, and of course finished his career at Kings Lynn, ironically, Ipswich's great rivals, but was still a popular figure up at Kings Lynn as well. So we'll just do you want to get a few hellos in there, Chris?
At the moment I can see Fred Graham, Dave Twine, Rich Thomas. There's a few other people on, but I've lost them now.
Yeah. Oh, and Peter Clark. We don't talk to him.
Never talk to him.
Peter, of course, who actually sat in that chair when you couldn't make it.
When I was in Plymouth,
yeah. It was pretty good as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thinking of like replacement.
Well, me. Fred Graham says Tiger Louis, a true British Speedway legend, had the privilege to watch him race. Condolences to all the Louis family from all us Glasgow Tiger Speedway fans that got to watch you and entertain us. He was an entertainer as well. Yeah. Excellent. So, okay. Right, not a lot been happening in the Speedway world this week, apart from, I mean, we need to tread water carefully because final results and everything aren't through, but Lee Complin.
Of course, yes.
I don't think I want to make any comments about whether there's guilt or anything there. I'm more about the situation that, again,
we seem to be finding ourselves in this situation a little bit often in recent times, don't we?
But also, the club themselves, through no fault of their own, left without a rider, like Birmingham was on the evening, and no facility. And surely that's got to change, hasn't it?
It's all well. I mean, the Birmingham one, I think, with Nick Morris, that was literally at the 11th hour of the meeting.
Yeah.
It was about an hour before the start of the meeting.
Yeah.
So something really needs to. They need to sort of crack. I mean, obviously, as I say, we don't want to say too much because we don't know the final results yet. But if it is the case, then certainly riders as well probably need to make themselves fully aware of what's on the ban list.
Yes,
when they're taking things.
I mean, because by all accounts, it seems that it might be something medicinal from what I'm reading that he's taken, and yeah. So, but I don't know. We really don't know.
Well, the famous one was obviously Sean Moran, wasn't it, when he took something medicinal in the run-up to the Overseas Championship in 1990, and didn't find obviously had queried it first by all accounts as to whether it contained anything that was on the ban list, and was told not. And then about an hour later, he said that they found him, said don't take them, and too late. He took them. I think he actually offered to withdraw from the meeting because the next qualifier would have been with his brother, Kelly.
Yeah.
But they said, no, carry on. And of course, he rode all the way through it and finished second in the World Championship and then had it taken off him. So whether they would have taken the gold medal off him is another matter. You know, he would have been entering all sorts of crazy things in that situation, wouldn't you? But
yeah, well, I mean, I don't think we can comment much more than that. I mean, my main thing is, again, this situation that the club itself, which you can't hold to blame for what a rider does or does not, because we don't know, again, put in their system.
Yeah.
And the supporters are the ones that lose out. Like when what happened with this with Nick Morris, it was we never recovered from that last year.
Well, they didn't, did they? I mean, it was a tough season for Birmingham anyway, but that sort of finished everything off, didn't it? And I think it just deflated the club, deflated the supporters. And it's to be hoped that the same thing doesn't happen with Glasgow as well.
Got a few more comments about Tiger. So Duncan Pemberton, I like this one. Tiger, best 4 laps I saw him race was when he did Pennell on the last bend at Bellevue to win the British League Riders Final. He was 38 then. One of those rare breeds that brought extra people through turnstiles when they knew Tiger was in town.
A lifetime in Speedway, because of course he then became promoter at Ipswich.
Yes.
Of course, as I said, Chris has followed him. He's now obviously become the promoter and is doing a pretty good job there. So
yeah, absolutely. So, shall we start having a look at where people are in the respective leagues and start having a look at how people are doing, I guess?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think we need to sort of touch on the championship as well, or do we leave that until the championship?
No, actually, let's start with the championship, because they've done the BSN and we never really spoke about it last week, so let's actually start with the championship.
Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Well, Fred Graham's just made a comment. I was at Berwick on Saturday. As far as Speedway fan, not just a Glasgow Tigers supporter, the sport has to be clear to fans and riders what is allowed and what is not allowed. Be clear and transparent from the outset. I would be interesting. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, of course, but I would still be interested if it did, to see whether there would be a difference in how the Premiership now handles it, given we've now got a CEO and he's all about open and transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
And Simon Corbett says the Wolves Select are struggling at Leicester, Matt.
Yeah, they haven't had a great start, have they?
No.
It'll take a little bit of time. Obviously, Leicester's, I suppose, when you've been used to Monmouth, getting used to Leicester, which is, again, people might say that's obviously a specialist track as well, if you like. It's got
had very tight turns, didn't it?
Yeah.
Wolverhampton, a bit like a point. Yeah.
They still haven't completely got the track right there, have they? Which is a shame, because it's a great little facility. And you go there and you look at the space they had. You think they could have made something really special with that track, but they just, I think it's got better than it was right at the start, but there's still a bit of work to do on it.
Yes, I don't think anybody's. Before you get into that, it was nice and talking about tracks and getting it right. I think Birmingham's finally got their track right. Nice to see the comments from Ty Woffington.
Yeah,
he really enjoyed the track. Just wish he hadn't been quite so fast.
Yeah, it's maybe been a little bit slick the first few matches, but I think obviously that's
down to the weather as much as anything. I think.
Anything else, yeah. Okay, let's talk about the Championship. Then we'll go through the clubs, of course. So we obviously talked about the Premiership last.
And they have started the BSN series now as well. So,
let's go through the Championship teams first of all. We'll start off with Berwick, who are starting with Rory Schlein, Lewis Kerr, Daniel Hume, Drew Kemp, Joy Etheridge, Freddie Hodder, and Bastian Bork. Not
many weaknesses in there.
No, I would say that's probably the strongest Berwick team I've seen in quite a few seasons. Obviously they've got the experience, of course, of Rory Schlein at the top. Lewis Kerr's obviously been around quite a bit now, but some good young ones there. Daniel Hume obviously has made good progress in the last few years. I think
a lot of time for Daniel.
Yeah, nice lad. Obviously we obviously know him from when he rode for Birmingham. Drew Kemp's probably not really made the progress that I think a lot of people were expecting, but he had a better season last year, I thought. And Freddie Hodder, I don't think we've seen Freddie Hodder ride a couple of times at Birmingham because he's ridden in the challenge matches against the Coventry Select.
Yeah,
because I think his grandfather rode for Coventry.
That was right. Yes,
back in the 50s or 60s, I think. So.
No, I don't remember it. So I mean, a fairly solid team. They've not had a bad start to the season, have they?
No, I don't think they have.
I think they're topping their table.
So we'll get the fixture list as or the VSN, because that's obviously the forefront. Of course, that's like what the Craven Shield or the Young Shield or whatever it used to be like back in the day.
Yeah,
so
back in the day. So while you're looking for that, Pete Clark says, why does it take so long for the second drug test results to either clear or condemn riders? I think it's a much more thorough test, isn't it?
It has to be.
Yeah.
You can't just do it in the space of 5 minutes. You've got to be absolutely thorough, because if you get it wrong, then you've got all sorts of legal implications of it.
Exactly.
So
and also, I believe they split it in two, don't they? So the rider can get their own independent results as well. So right. There's all of that to go on, I guess. So
Berwick, obviously, they had a good start. They beat Glasgow 48-42 last Saturday, I think. So obviously they're top of their fixture. There's only one fixture in the group, so but that'll be a big lift to them, I think, beating Glasgow, because obviously they
don't do it very often.
No, well, as I say, I mean, Glasgow have obviously been very strong in recent seasons. Of course, they're reigning champions in the Championship. So okay,
absolutely.
So let's move on to Edinburgh, and they are going with Max James, Kai Thompson, Connor Coles, Josh Pickering, Paco Castagna, Justin Sedgman, and Lasse Fredriksson.
First of all, a couple of names there known from a Brummie perspective.
Yeah, well, three actually. Of course, if you include Josh Pickering.
So. Well, yes, yeah. I mean, Josh Pickering, a lot of time for him as a rider. Very much in the Tiger mould. He doesn't give up. Paco Castagna, you know what you get.
Just character, isn't he? He's a great character, Paco is. So.
Yeah. And scores useful points, of course. Yeah. Justin Sedgman, I mean, he sort of showed some promise sometimes last year, but he just didn't get to grips with the track. Neither did many people last year, to be fair.
Yeah, I think he was probably brought down really by, just like everybody else, the fact that when you're in a team that just loses week after week, it becomes difficult. I'm not convinced about that Edinburgh team, to be honest. I think it maybe looks a little bit of a long tail. Josh Pickering, obviously, he's Josh Pickering, a brilliant rider to watch, and I think he'll certainly be,
one of the top riders, if not
in that league. Yeah. Be interesting to see how Justin Sedgman gets on. I don't think it was any surprise that none of the Birmingham septet from last season returned to Perry-Barr this year.
No, I mean also the fact that we went up a league probably would add to that. But yeah. Okay. So,
not
one of the better sides that they've
Edinburgh at the moment is a bit of a concern, isn't it? Because we don't know what's happening with the situation with the track. They're sort of, I think their operating basically seem to be on a hand-to-mouth basis now. Obviously, the move to the new stadium fell through. When it was made public, went a bit too much over the top with all the publicity and things like that. They should have probably waited until they knew they were going to get it first before they did that.
Yeah, it seems like a sensible idea. But
that's it.
Duncan Pemberton has I don't know. Let's read it out. I'm just going to read. If the rider has a bit and the authorities have a bit, is that classed as taking the piss? Oh dear.
Where's the?
Don't call us. Yeah, where's the hook?
Bum note. Let's go on to Glasgow, the reigning champions then, and they go with Chris Harris, Steve Worrell, Paul Stark.
There we go.
There you go.
Chris Harris, Steve Worrell, Paul Stark, Leon Flint, Ace Piper, Lee Complin, and of course James Pearson.
Okay, so James Pearson's scored a sort of hatful of points in his one meeting. He's nice to see he's starting to move on a little bit. Got a lot of time for him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were a bit disappointed when he lost his team place last year, but I think it was probably just unfortunate that he was the only change really they could make.
Yeah, I think so.
But again, as I say, you look at the Glasgow side, Bomber's Bomber, isn't he? You know, what are you going to get from Bomber? 100% effort. Steve Worrell has had a bit of a slow start, would you say, at Birmingham? He rode well on the first night at Oxford.
He did, yeah.
Probably didn't really score the points that he would have been expected to do in the two home matches.
It's nice to see him getting some points down in the championship, which hopefully will improve his confidence.
Well, he didn't do great in the championship last season. He was scoring better for Wolves than it was for Poole.
I think his gating has let him down a little bit this year so far.
That's it.
So hopefully we know he can gate.
Yeah, and you look at him. I mean, you look at Glasgow. I mean, Glasgow's they are one of the top sides in that league, aren't they? They're there's a big investment of money gone into them, and I think a lot of any rider that goes there is going to sort of reap the benefits of that. I think obviously they've got Leon Flint, Paul Stark. At one time, I had a lot of high hopes for Starkey, but the last few seasons, sort of injuries have sort of held him back a little bit. Came into Birmingham last year.
He's a tidy rider, isn't he? He's a tidy looking rider, but he didn't really do a lot for Birmingham last year.
Not that anybody else did, to be fair.
No, well, there is that. Yeah.
So they're going to be in there, and Glasgow obviously they'll, if there's any potential weaknesses in their side, I'm sure they'll be looking to make changes themselves. So
before you move on, can you show me all of Fred Graham's post there? So that looks interesting. So, Mike, having been a championship supporter over the last couple of years, how are you feeling about the watering down of the championship in 2024? Us supporters at Glasgow were watching Harris, Basso and Tarasenko. Also, some of the teams visiting are also a lot weaker, so entertainment compromised. I don't think necessarily entertainment's compromised. I mean, Harris is still in that league, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. I think my issue with the championship, I think now there seems to be too much of a gap between the teams at the top and the teams,
which is what we had last year. I mean, we were being one of the ones at the bottom, of course.
Yeah, I think that's it. There, I mean, Poole and Glasgow. This isn't me criticising Poole and Glasgow. They've got the big funds in that league, so they can sort of attract the better riders. Personally, I mean, obviously we'll come on to Poole later, but I don't think they should be in that league myself.
You've mentioned this before.
They've pretty much won everything in that league, so.
Yeah, I mean, you would think they'd be looking at the top league at the moment and thinking, actually, that's the league to be in, isn't it?
Well, as I've said to people before, if I was a Poole fan, and I'm looking at riders like Seifertenoff and Doyle and Tarasenko and people like that, and these riders. All these top riders that are now racing in the top league, I was a Poole fan. I'm thinking, well, I'd rather be watching that than watching, no disrespect to the second tier, but I just think at the moment the championship is just seems to be in a bit of limbo at the moment. I've said before, I think Birmingham are doing exactly the right thing, moving up into the top league, and I think Oxford have as well. Although Oxford, of course, are still in the second tier as well, and the third tier.
I also think there needs to be greater, what's the word I'm looking for here? integrity between the two leagues. So at the moment, you've got things in the top league is named totally the Premiership. There you go. Things that are happening in the Premiership, a lot of it's down to this having a CEO now. You can see the difference, can't you? You only got to look at the BSPA website. They've put the declared teams for Thursday already on the BSPA website. Yeah. It's just this constant stream of information coming about things. It just seems better, more joined up. That's what I was trying to say.
I think we said. I think we said at the time you were probably going to see the rewards of Phil Morris being the CEO this season. I think last season was more about a watching brief, looking at what he liked, what he didn't like, and then making his suggestions to the BSBL.
I think it would benefit the Championship greatly to become part of that. So for Phil Morris to be CEO over both leagues, and then everything could be a lot more joined up, and then you might see more entertainment happening between the two leagues. I don't know, but I just think that would be a way forward. It's like a breath of fresh air at the moment in the Premiership. So why not give that to the Championship as well? I imagine it's the Championship's promoters that have to vote for that, and whether Phil would want to go across the two leagues is another. Yeah,
I'm sure Phil would be delighted if you're piling all this work on it. Top of the Premiership and the Grand Prix as well. So.
I was just going to read that, but it's disappeared.
Sorry, there's one down the bottom there.
Okay, from Nick Green on YouTube. Oh, we're doing YouTube now. We remember to do YouTube now. Hey. Watched Tiger Louis many times at Brandon over the years, scoring heavily against my beloved Bees. Fantastic rider, world class. Absolutely. We should. For two things that I need to talk about, we should welcome once again our sponsor, So-Called Studios.
Did you not do it at the top of the show?
I didn't do it at the top of the show.
Even though I wrote it on your notes?
Even though you wrote it on the top of my thing.
That's a fine, isn't it, Mr. Producer?
Absolutely.
So, thank you very much for So-Called Studios. We'll get Chris to tell you about them in a little while, because he knows more about them than I do. I have got an idea, by the way. I need to speak to you after the show. Okay. Sorry to tell you that, everybody.
But he was glad he was sitting down when he said that.
They'll all want to know,
Right, so can we take the back up a little bit? There was a couple more comments there I wanted to go through. Okay, no, I had done that one. So Brian Rees, the golden helmet was a highlight before the main meeting started, and it was between the two top riders. John Louis was a holder several times. I'd love to see the golden helmet back, would you?
I never saw the golden.
You never saw it?
I saw the golden gauntlet, which they tried for a year, around about 96, 97, I think it was, and they got rid of it. So, but that'd be something to have.
So what was the format of the golden helmet?
So you'd have the person that was holding the golden helmet, and wherever he raced, so wherever his team raced, or whoever they raced against, the top rider from the opposing team, so the top scorer usually, would then have a match race between whoever's the holder was, and whoever won that match race, it was 3 races, would then be the holder of the golden helmet.
Okay. Oh, right.
That was just Duncan Pemberton says, too much in my opinion for Phil Morris to take on, but surely someone in the background who is capable of running it under Phil's management. Good idea. Yeah, so, good idea.
Anyway, let's move on then to the next one. That's Oxford. So we've got Scott Nichols, Sam Masters, Cameron Heaps, Henry Atkins, Jordan Jenkins, Luke Colleen and Ashton Boven.
Face of it, a good team.
Yep, solid side.
Scott Nichols, of course, we know all about Scott.
Yep. Sam Masters, of course, had a good season with Oxford last year. Cameron Heaps, I think, has made good strides over the last couple of years. Henry Atkins is a good little rider. I remember saw him race a few times in the National League at Perry Bar, and always rode Perry Bar well. Ashton Boven, I'm pretty excited about him because I think he's seen him a couple of times now.
How old is he?
17. Might even be 16.
He's already racing in the
top
Premiership,
league, picking up points in the top league. Yeah, so.
That's a good. There's a couple more things I'd like to, but show me up. So yeah, can you go up for a bit? Yeah,
right,
that's okay. Now and a bit more. Poole won't be in either league next year if Clark Osborne has his way, says Rich Thomas.
Well, he hasn't had his way at getting Brandon closed, has he?
No.
Well, getting Brandon demolished, I should say.
Yeah, it is another worry, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a worry.
The man that also said he was going to get Swindon, who promised if Swindon were going to get a new stadium as well. We're still waiting for that, so probably best not go too far into that. So
No, absolutely. Okay, so next up we have, a good side there for Oxford, and going to be in the shout towards the end, I think.
Hopefully they can get all their matches in with the other leagues that they're racing in as well. So let's move on though to Plymouth. So they are going with Ben Barker, Alfie Botel, Dan Thompson, Joe Thompson, Jacob Hook, Carl Newman, and Nico Cavati.
It's nice to see Nico back in British Speedway. It's the first thing to say about that. With Ben Barker, you know what you're getting in that league, and he probably rides that track better than anybody.
Well, he's from that neck of the woods, isn't he? He's from Cornwall man. I think the big thing with Plymouth is whether they can get their track sorted out. They've done a lot of work again over there in the winter. And again, as with Birmingham last season, they really did struggle, didn't they? I think they were one of the few teams that lost to Birmingham, weren't they? So,
they was, yeah. We were the only ones that could ride their track.
Yeah, that's it. So, but I've got deep concerns, to be fair, about Plymouth at the moment as a club. Obviously, they looked for a couple of years to go out of the National League and into the Championship, and they've done that. They first season back in the Championship, of course, they invested a lot of money, didn't they? Because they Bjarne Pedersen and Jason Crump didn't really get the results they wanted from that either. So, I don't know. I've got misgivings about Plymouth at the moment. Hopefully, things will work out down there, and they'll get the support because they've got some races in that team. Obviously, the Thompson brothers have made progress there.
Of course, it's at the moment allowing Cavati to get back from his injury as well. So
yeah, that's it. So obviously
Pete Clark just reminded me about.
Blow. Obviously, that's another blow for Plymouth. Obviously, losing him. Yeah. So, but I think I don't really anticipate Plymouth being amongst the leading pack in that team. I don't think they've had a match yet. Either of they. Of course, they're in the southern section with Poole and Oxford, so that's going to be really tough for them to get out of that.
Wish them the best.
Okay.
Just got some more stuff coming about Tiger Louis. I just need you to go up. Thank you. So from Duncan Pemberton, I need to get some new teeth. Reference the golden helmet. Myself and 3 mates left Leicester at 3 p.m. to shoot over to Ipswich to support Dave Jessup versus Tiger in the golden helmet. That's what a big deal it was in those days. Unfortunately, got stuck in traffic and missed the helmet and had to endure Ipswich 50-28. Sheffield. Yeah. Ouch. Yeah. Okay, the British League Riders' Championship at Hyde Road, Manchester was a classic, and I believe John Louis won one year. What a meeting that was.
That was always generally seen as being the second most important meeting after the World Final, wasn't it? It was quite often it was stronger as well.
Yes.
The World Final, it was a big deal to win it then. So.
Yeah. And you've gone very quiet all of a sudden.
I was thinking that. I'm not complaining about me going quiet.
Neither is anybody else, but there you go.
I'll get you back up in a bit. I know what's going on.
Are we back?
So,
I can hear you. Not very loud though. Hang on.
Well, let's keep going, keep broadcasting.
Okay, I'll shout a bit louder.
Yeah. So who we got next?
We have got Poole next. So they've gone for Ben Cook, Sam Hagan, Richard Lawson, Tom Brennan, Zach Cook, Max Perry, and Tobias Thompson. Familiar to Birmingham fans, of course.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of names there, though.
Yeah, Tom Brennan, of course.
Yeah, Zach Cook, obviously. Sam Hagan, of course, who was with. Did okay for Birmingham last season, I thought.
Sam Hagan, absolutely. I mean, everybody. I mean, he replaced James Pearson, who's a fan's favourite. Of course, that's never easy in the first place.
That's right.
But no, he did okay. He certainly won a lot of fans at Birmingham. Poole are always there or thereabouts, aren't they?
They're going to be in there. They won their first meeting, of course, against Oxford, 61-29.
Yeah, we've just been bigging up Oxford. And
having read some of the reports, a lot of people who were at the meeting saying saying it was one of the best meetings they've seen at Poole for a while. Some terrific racing. So I know they've had some of the track from some of the shale from Womber, like Birmingham have had. But Poole, got solid all the way through that side, and I think you would nobody would ever make the mistake of writing Poole off. I don't think.
I think you're coming back slowly.
Do apologise for that.
I mean, they've got some great racers. A lot of them Birmingham riders. I mean, Tom Brennan's had a great start to the season, you have to say.
Yeah. The Cook brothers obviously made big impressions. Obviously, Ben was superb for Peterborough, and of course that was good for Wolves last season. So, so as I say, some good riders in that side. Richard Lawson, vastly experienced now in that division, and one of the top performers in the championship. So, yeah, you would be a big fool to write those off.
Yeah, I think I think they're going to be there or thereabouts. Talking about the Golden Helmet, Rich Thomas says the Golden Helmet was a monthly thing originally, not as it was in the end. So that predates me, I'm afraid. And it was worth a lot financially to the holder. Martin Ashby ended one season as holder and was paid for the winter months as holder.
I don't know whether they do that now.
I mean, that's the way. Barry Young says the old way for the Golden Helmet was for the holder to ride against a nominated rider once a month, home and away, at the start of the meeting. Then the challenger would ride in the second half. Okay.
Let's move on now to Red Car. So they will go with Charles Wright, Jason Edwards, Danny King, Conor Bailey, Jake Mulford, Ben Trigger and Jonas Knudsen.
Fairly solid.
Yeah.
Danny King's not had the best of starts, mind you, but
he had a poor start last season, though, didn't he? Or
true.
Slow start, and got better as the season went on. They've obviously had a meeting there. They got beaten at Scunthorpe on last Friday, 52-38. So, but again, when I fancied Redcar to do well last season, it never really materialised, did it? They sort of were on the outskirts of it a little bit. Danny King, obviously, as I said, very experienced. Charles Wright's, has become a very good performer.
In that league, he's going to be a top rider, isn't
Of course, was having a great season last season, and of course that injury obviously ended his season, which was a blow for him. Jason Edwards, I think, is another one who's made a lot of good progress. When remember we had, I can't remember his name now. It'll come to me. He was on the. I can't remember his name now.
It'll come to you.
Yeah. He was on the show last season, of course, and we asked him about Jason Edwards, and he said he's a rider that he felt has made very, very good progress as one of the under-21s. Redcar. I think Redcar will be definitely in the shake-up. They've got and certainly in Charles Wright and Danny King have got a very, very strong top two at that level of racing. So, okay, let's move on then to Scunthorpe. So they will go with Simon Lambert, Luke Harrison, Jake Allen, Carl Howarth, Nathan Ablett, Michael Palmtoft and Connor Mountain.
I mean, you think of Connor Mountain as being a new rider, but actually he's been around for a little while now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
A useful rider to have at reserve, I would guess. Possibly not one of the strongest teams there.
Well, you say that, but I mean they've been solid, haven't they? The last few seasons, they had a period, of course, where they were really struggling, weren't they? But the last sort of 2-3 seasons, they've
and I think they've started off fairly well as well.
They beat Redcar in their opening meeting. Obviously, Carl Howarth has gone there, so a new number one from them, but he's going to be strong in that league. Simon Lambert, obviously, is everybody knows, he's one of those riders that's always going to give everything. When he goes out on the track, Nathan Ablett's very highly rated, of course. Jake Allen, good solid performer in that league. Michael Palmtoft as well, good solid performer in that league. So I think they may not necessarily win it, but or win the championship. But they certainly will be a playoff contender in that division.
Fred Graham says the silver helmet was also very popular in the National League. Glasgow, Steve Lawson retained it for the whole season, and it was a big draw whenever it was raced for. We actually saw that at Perry Barther once, didn't we? I can't remember who we had racing for it now. Was it Jack Smith? Can't remember. Somebody out there, our listener will know.
Okay. And let's finish off with Workington, who back into the championship for the first time since 2018, I think.
Yep.
And they go with Sam McKirk, Craig Cook, Tate Zisk, Antti Volas, Selenia Leitman, Troy Batchelor, and Klaus Wissing. There are a few familiar names there.
A few that I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, the majority of the publicity for Workington, of course, has been over the signing of Selenia Leitman, which is
and she scored. She has
scored points.
Points,
yeah.
So
yeah. While I think about it, of course, Leicester, of course, will be staging the women's championship.
The championship, yes.
That's something that we'll obviously talk about at some point.
Absolutely.
This pitch. I think it's it's obviously a real big boost for the sport as well. The inclusion of female racers as well.
Not before time.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of people sort of cast aspersions or sort of dismiss this a little bit, but I think it's important. That it's
important
for everybody.
It's important for the sport to be taken seriously as well. I really believe that.
I mean, with Workington, there's an element of sort of a 2012, 2013 team with Cook and Batchelor being at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, both are very experienced riders. I suppose particularly with Craig Cook, we know Cook's had his problems in recent seasons away from the track.
Mm-hmm.
To be hoped that moving back to Workington, where of course I think he was when they were running at Derwent Park, if he can sort of get back to sort of the form that we know he can do, then he's going to be a real coup for them.
Nobody wants to see anybody struggling in that way.
No, they don't. No. And Troy Batchelor's really been the same as well.
And we both seem to have got very much louder. Yeah. He's working hard, but the Gremlin's working hard in the background there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Klaus Wissing, of course, who's known to Birmingham, obviously didn't maybe leave on the best of terms last time.
I think the least I say about Klaus Wissing at this point is probably the best.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, those are the championship teams. Obviously, we did say last week we would have a look at the championship this week, and we've done that.
I'm thinking top four.
Well, it's top six, isn't it, in that league?
I think it would be. And I'm going to try and do it off my head now because I haven't thought about this. You certainly got Paul.
Yeah.
Leicester.
Leicester will do well to win that league.
Oh God, they wouldn't make it. Sorry. Yeah. Oh. No, I can't remember all. I need the list in front of me. Yeah.
Well, should we come back to you on that one then?
Yeah.
All right.
Probably the end of the season I might get it right.
Well, I've written my top six down. I'm going to be dull and say Poole, Oxford.
That's who I was trying to think of.
Redcar, Glasgow, Scunthorpe, Berwick.
Okay.
Would be my pick for those leagues, for that league. So
I don't think I'd argue much with that. I mean, Berwick's best team they've had for a while.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's the best team Berwick have had certainly since post-COVID at times. They've become a very good community club, Berwick, haven't they? They've done a lot of good things for the community in the area, as of Edinburgh as well. Edinburgh in particular, and they just need to try and get it right on the track.
I'm looking at the time. I can't believe we've been talking for nearly 45 minutes.
Mad, isn't it? Just goes so quick.
So we'll have a really quick look at what's going on in the Premiership then, vis-a-vis the. I'm using posh words now. I do apologise. Vis-a-vis the table.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay, well, we'll have a look at the early table then, and it's Oxford, the new boys, who are top with 7 points from
Hands
3.
up for those who are surprised.
Not necessarily. I mean, we discussed this last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
You sort of weren't convinced about Oxford's side. I think there's a lot of potential.
I think I've probably allowed myself to be convinced by other people on that one,
yeah,
and I shouldn't.
Okay, so Oxford top 7 from 3, Ipswich 4 from 2, Bellevue 2 from 2, Sheffield 2 from 2, Leicester 2 from 2, Birmingham 1 from 4, and King's Lynn with only one meeting so far. They lost that one, so they're at the bottom of the table with no points as of yet. So Sheffield, I think, are the interesting ones because they, everyone's raving about the Sheffield team. They haven't made as a convincing start, have they?
But then it's the finish that counts.
Yeah, I mean they had to really dig it out against Birmingham, didn't they? A couple
They
of weeks
did.
ago. So, say Leicester obviously on the wrong end of a big defeat. They've
started slow. They've not started good at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kings Lynn. I don't know what to make of Kings Lynn yet from just the one meeting. So
yeah, well, as I say, I think Kings Lynn have got the potential to be really. Well, I think they will be an exciting team. They've got some, with the likes of Muslak in their side and all that. They'll certainly be a force in this season. As I said, it's the best Kings Lynn team I've seen in the last several seasons.
that probably wouldn't be difficult to say.
Probably not. No, I think the thing with Kings Lynn, they really need a consistency with their team because they've they last couple of seasons they seem to have gone through about 20 riders in a season. They can't have that again. They've got to make sure they keep some consistency. Sheffield, of course, probably haven't been helped by the fact that they've had all their matches so far away from home. They've not had a home match yet, so
because there's been concerns with their track as well, hasn't there?
They've had one or two issues. So it's early days yet. I mean, still look at that table now, and you've got Birmingham who've had 4 matches in Kings Lynn, they've only had 1, so there's still a little bit of lopsidedness about that's one thing I would like to see Phil Morris get his teeth into next. He's trying to sort out the fixture list maybe and make it a bit more even.
Fred Graham reckons it's a top 4 this year in the championship.
Okay, all right. It was top 6 when Birmingham were in it, wasn't it? So, but I suppose obviously it's got lesser teams in it now, so I guess.
And he did give us. We got a few people giving us their 1 to 4. We are going to write all these down and laugh at you at the end of the season. That's why I haven't given you mine. Barry Young says we are normally the strongest team in the league, holding everyone up. And Ben Cresswell says, why are Oxford in the Premiership Knockout Cup?
Have you seen this?
Why wouldn't
they are in the Premiership, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're in the Premiership Championship.
Yeah, so why wouldn't they be? I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to see that Birmingham have made it to the semi-final in the Knockout Cup.
Yeah. Fred Graham has gone for a top 4 of Poole, Oxford. When Mr. Browne stops messing around with the screen. Scunthorpe. The last place will be between Edinburgh, Glasgow, Redcar, Berwick. Can't pick one between them.
Well, you need to.
I'm not totally convinced about Edinburgh, but I've been wrong in the past. So.
John Hope, ICC Birmingham Exhibition of Sports, but no Speedway mentioned. Why? Answers on a postcode. Because it's Speedway.
Yeah.
Dave Twine's gone for Scunthorpe, Poole, Redcar, Berwick, in that order. So Scunthorpe to win the championship.
Okay,
that's
interesting. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, did we get through? We haven't got through the Premiership yet, have we?
Yeah, we've gone through the league table.
Right.
So okay.
Okay, well, I guess we're coming up to that time when we need to
laugh at where Mike is in the league.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this.
I've seen it.
You've seen it? Okay, come on. Let me.
Sorry, I haven't got. I'm not prepared. I haven't
Okay.
But I'm sure Matt will tell you where you are.
Okay.
I'll get it ready.
In trouble.
Yeah. yeah, already. Let's put it this way: I'm above you as normal.
Not much above him.
Well,
I think it's by alphabetical order. But it all
Probably, yes.
It all counts.
Yeah, okay.
And we did say £100 this year, didn't we?
did we?
Yeah.
I must have missed that meeting.
So we have Kev Lilly at the top with 6 points. Then we got Dave Twine, Elliot Hunt, and Andrew Garner on 5. Duncan Pemberton, Nick Matthews, Steve Morgan, Craig Smee, myself, Barry Young, Philip Gray, Andrew Green, John Bird, Rich Thomas, Ben Clifton, Gordon Gamble on 4. Brian Buck, I've heard that name before, on 3. Dave Yates 3. Chris Barron 3. Jeff Daniels 3. Simon Corbett 3 in 21st. And Mr. Harris on 3 in 22nd place, with just Richard Langston on 2 and Tom Howells on 1.
Wow. But there's a lot of threes there, so I could be, yeah, okay. I'm changing my name to Adam Ant.
Propping the league up there again.
I'm changing my name to Adam Ant 1.
Yeah. Okay. Say I do post the league table on Monday night, so obviously
It's early days. It's early days.
Yep.
Don't worry, Mike. It's early days. No, don't worry.
What's worrying me is I'm going on holiday and I'm probably going to forget to post the next
Yeah,
one.
you will.
So.
Right, should we go with this week's then?
Let's do it.
Let's start off with Wednesday night. We've got Poole against Plymouth in the BSN.
And I believe
it
is starting with you because we started with Matt last week.
Who was it again?
Poole and Plymouth.
At Plymouth.
At Poole.
At Poole.
That's why you said Poole first.
Poole first.
Oh,
That's
right,
generally how it works.
No, I weren't listening. I'll go Poole by... I'm going to look at your faces when I say this. 6. Oh, get out of it.
Poole by 10.
Oh, we're far off.
No, well, I've gone Poole by 26.
Okay, wow.
26?
Yeah.
God, you'd be laughing at both of us for that.
Okay, next up in the Premiership, Kings Lynn against Bellevue.
To Mike.
Wow, that's an interesting one. You see, I think Bellevue have really started quite well. I'm going to say Kings Lynn by 4.
Okay. I've gone Kings Lynn by 8.
Kingsley by 10.
Okay.
Okay, next up, also on Thursday, is Leicester against Sheffield.
Leicester against Sheffield. That's up to you, Matt.
I've gone for Leicester by 4.
I'll go Leicester by 8.
I have to do at least one, don't I?
Draw. Okay. Right, also in the Premiership on Thursday, Oxford against Ipswich.
And that's up to you, Chris.
I'll go Ipswich by 12.
I'll say Ipswich by 4.
I've gone Ipswich by 6 on that one. Okay, then back into the BSN series on Friday. It's Redcar against Workington.
That's up to me, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Redcar by 10.
Redcar by 14.
I'll go Redcar by 12. In the middle.
Okay. Also on Friday is Glasgow against Edinburgh, the first Scottish derby of the season. Of course, their first chance to race was washed out last week.
And the first one to get himself hated by one team in Scotland or another is Matt.
Glasgow by 12.
I'll go Glasgow by 8.
Glasgow by 14.
Okay. Also on Friday in the Knockout Cup, first round, first leg, Scunthorpe against Plymouth.
That's up to you, Chris.
I'll go Scunthorpe by 10.
I also say Scunthorpe by 10.
I'll say Scunthorpe by 16.
He's liking his high scores today, aren't you? Yeah.
Okay, on Saturday we've got Berwick against Edinburgh. That's in the BSN series as well.
Okay. That's up to you, Chris.
Is it?
That's not. It's up to me. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Berwick versus Edinburgh. Berwick by 14.
Berwick by 10.
I'll go Berwick by 8.
Okay. Second leg of the Knockout Cup tie on Saturday as well. Plymouth against Scunthorpe.
It's up to you, Matt.
Scunthorpe by 8.
Scunthorpe by 12.
Scunthorpe by 8.
Okay. And on Monday, back into the Premiership, Bellevue against Kings Lynn.
It's up to me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bellevue by 12.
Bellevue by 14.
I'm in the right mine.
Bellevue by 10.
Oh dear.
Okay, and finally, Wolves.
Wolves.
I wish, yeah. Birmingham v Leicester in the Premiership.
And it would have to be down to me, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to miss this match. I'm going to say Birmingham by 4. Hoping the real PP turns up.
Birmingham by 2, I'll say.
I'll go Birmingham by 6. Hey, how about that?
I might come over and kiss you.
Birmingham by 12.
And is that...
That's it, yeah.
That's it,
So,
okay.
yeah, that'll be an interesting one on Monday. Obviously, the Midland Derby now, of course. And Leicester, certainly when they was in the Championship, they always bought a fair amount over from Leicester, didn't they? So I'd imagine they were well supported club anyway.
Let's not be stupid. They'll be expecting to win.
Yeah.
Their fans will be expecting. Will smell a win.
Yeah.
Our main interest is obviously going to be on the return to British Speedway of Peter Pawlicki.
Yep.
And he's been doing quite some good scores abroad, hasn't he? So
hopefully for Birmingham, he'll bring that to the table at Perry Bar on from Monday onwards.
There's a lot of Birminghams by 6 turning up.
Birmingham, I think Birmingham need to get a win, don't they, after the disappointment of that performance against Oxford. Hopefully they've had them working on the gating practice as well, because the gating in that meeting
that was strange. That was, wasn't it? Because
really
they'd been
atrocious.
gating really well in every match that I'd seen.
Yeah.
They'd been gating really well, so that was strange. That all of a sudden they'd seemed to have left their gating boots at home, but hopefully that was not to be repeated.
Have a nice holiday, Mike. You won't be missed. Oh, sorry, Liz, you will be missed.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pete. I feel for you, mate. Because Pete and the other guys will be getting all the tyres up and everything at the end of the meeting. And I won't be there to pick up my one sheet. So
I knew that's overdoing it.
Yeah. Yeah. But, good luck to the lads. Yeah. So so obviously we haven't got a show next week.
Well, no, we won't have a show next week. No. Unless you can find someone as good as you. Oh, excellent.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Is there a finger puppet?
I suppose you could take your laptop with you to Rhodes, couldn't you, and log in.
I don't think
There's a plant
she who must be obeyed would like that idea. So
no. So we'll give it a miss next week, and we'll be back the week after.
Yeah, we will post the results, the scores for all the fixtures for next week's Prediction League as well.
Would you like to read that? I was looking at that earlier.
Yeah, there has been a statement on the Leicester King's Lynn meeting, of course, which staged on the 21st of March, which had one or two incidents that people were been talking about. The members of the Speedway Control Bureau attended the meeting on the 9th of April 2024, where the decisions of the referee at the Leicester v King's Lynn fixture on the 21st of March 2024 were discussed. The members viewed the decisions and believed that the one-match suspension was sufficient, and the referee will now be back on the active panel, back active on the referees panel. No further comment will be made.
What the hell do you make of that?
Well, it's nice to see a little bit of openness as well from them to put that, because you would have, in days of old, you would have probably had to drug that statement out of somebody, wouldn't you? You would have been gone on for weeks and weeks, and nobody.
There's been a lot more SCB statements this year than us, and again, I imagine that's a lot down to Phil Morris's influence.
Well, it shows obviously as well as that they are assessing the referees as well, and and if they do make mistakes,
So are we reading from that? Because it's not. I mean, you talk about it being clear, but are we reading from that the referee did make a mistake?
Seems that way, yes, doesn't it? I mean, obviously the big one was not seeing the pole that holds the starting gate to be left on the track. I mean, that's for me, that's a complete no. You do not do that under any circumstances.
But I think because of that, they now no longer are having the pole.
Yeah.
And by that I don't mean Peter Pawlicki, just put that on the record.
Certainly not having a pole which is a broom lodged into a traffic cone, which just,
Yeah, it's a bit amateurish, isn't it?
Just a little bit, yeah. So.
Hey-ho. So, but I mean, we've had a few SCB statements. The season's really only just got started.
We've talked about this before, haven't we? Though that we want to see openness and clarity, and I think we are certainly in the Premiership starting to see things now, and hopefully they will sort of flow down as time goes by into the other two leagues as well.
I hope so.
So when we come back, of course, obviously we will discuss the National League as well. Obviously we'll give a
because that will be underway by then as well. Yeah. And also, when we come back, we will be looking at the Grand Prix.
Yep.
Because they start, 27th of April.
They had the launch for that in Paris, didn't they?
So they did, yes.
So whether there's any talk about them having a Grand Prix in Paris or a Grand Prix in France, of course, France is emerging as a nation now in Speedway, isn't it? So they've obviously been they were in the World Cup. Obviously, they didn't get through the first round, and of course, they've ridden in the Speedway Nations as well. So,
Duncan Pemberton says, proper Speedway fan, this is looking at the glass half empty side of things. What worries me is if Phil Morris walked away from the sport tomorrow, we are knackered.
Well, you would like to think that there would be some form of plan in place if he decided, or that
probably he would put in place.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any signs of Phil walking away. I think he's enjoying the job from what I've seen.
I think so. The only concern I would have maybe is he maybe taking a little bit too much on, because obviously he's got that and the Grand Prix as well. Prix. I mean, we've seen him at meetings. You've seen him on the Grand Prix meetings. He's there and he's nice, clean white shirt, and he's doing racking on the track when it's filthy, and so he certainly puts a shift in, and
absolutely
in the Grand. Of course, obviously on Discovery they've got the individual cameras for the cameras and pits, and of course they've got a camera that's fitted to Phil Morris, and I've watched that, and it never stops. It's just constantly moving all the time. So he certainly gets his steps in during meetings, because he never stops moving. But
I don't see him walking away. I mean, there's always health issues and stuff, and perhaps there needs to be a thought about, like we mentioned before, a sort of second in command, particularly if, as would be hoped, would be beneficial for Speedway if it took in the Championship as well.
And the National League. I think the National League has sort of gone by the wayside in recent seasons, doesn't it? It was when Birmingham and Eastbourne and Cradley were in it looked to be in a strong position, but for the last few years it seems to have just sort of reverted back to being a bit of an afterthought, like the Conference League used to be, where it's sort of not really taken seriously, because it's a shame, because the National League has helped to bring in quite a few of these younger riders that are now thriving in the top two leagues.
Absolutely.
Well, there we go.
Okay, well, we're coming up to that time of the evening when we say
go away.
Go away, yeah.
Or tur a bit.
Tur a bit. Yeah. There we go. Right, so everybody enjoy greatly your Speedway this week.
Quick shout out for Carl Fiala on Facebook, asking for fans to object to what has happened at Rye-House's track.
Yes.
Please look it up and sign up the objection. There we go.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.